Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an episode of Killer Collab Podcast here on Real People, Real Content. My name is Tone Deaf from Florida, Tony D. To my left, usually, and for the past year, Chris Lato from Reaper Films.
It's been a whole year.
Almost. We're on like week 40.
What?
Yeah, we're on like episode
That's
40.
crazy.
It is.
It seems like we did maybe like 10 episodes.
No, it feels definitely like 40.
It does?
It
Okay.
definitely feels like 40. Basically.
Wow. I am impressed
And
that we've gone this long.
yeah, really. It is. Yeah.
So I was ready to quit like after the third week. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
And yet you keep coming back on week
I
40.
do.
Week 40. And returning for a third time. I don't know.
The hat trick.
What's a hat trick?
When you score 3 goals.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't watch soccer. Anyway.
You don't know what a hat trick is, really?
No, I'm joking.
I
I always said it soccer because you're wearing a lightning hat. It's funny. Okay.
I thought it was funny.
There you go. See, someone heard it was funny. Someone like
Dry humor, right?
Yeah,
You're
very
not supposed to laugh, but you all like get it, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
As long as it just clicks.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
it clicks. After you told me what you were talking about, then. But, just kidding.
And that voice is, as always, third time, Mace Walker.
Hello.
Hello. So
Fresh off a brand new production.
brand new for the
Interested to
third,
see how it
second. I
went.
don't know. These numbers are tough today.
It's been a lot. I'm pretty popular around here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
You're
This
the
is
only
like
one
the
that's been on 3
third-
times.
This is the third podcast that I've been invited to, and it's been you guys.
It's all
every
been
time.
ours.
Yeah.
really.
Sorry to
Yeah.
hear that.
I just had to tell everyone else, this is my priority. I can't.
All right.
I can't
we have
always be
exclusive
We have
rights.
exclusive rights.
Right. Yeah. There we go. I have a contract with you guys.
Oh yeah. Coming back. And you're more than welcome. It's definitely a fun time.
Yeah,
Always a fun time.
definitely.
Dun, dun, dun. So for your second feature film, what was the title of that?
Cowbird.
Cowbird. Where does that come from?
It's originally the title was
I
Silo,
like the first name.
and I do too. But it turns out that there are actually 2 other psychological horror films named Silo, and I chose that name because I was like, no one's gonna have this name. It's the fucking Grain Tower, but I found actually because I made a website and I saw that the Silo feature film .com was already taken, and Zach was like, who the fuck, like, let me look it up. So he looks it up, and it was like, Silo, introducing the first film in history about grain entrapment. And I'm like, okay, well, there's some competition there because it was being released like this year.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm like, okay, well, that, whatever. And then Zach's like, just pick some weird title, man, that no one else has. So he actually chose it for me. And it's kind of like a metaphor. It's a cowbird is like a species of bird that lays its eggs in another bird's nest, and then when that egg hatches, the bird eats like the other babies. So it's kind of like a parasite type bird.
Isn't it like that other movie, Vivarium? I think what's it called.
Ooh.
Vivarium.
Yeah, that movie.
That's the movie where they were in the
that house
neighborhood and they couldn't get out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a trippy ass movie.
It was, but if you look at the beginning of that movie, it actually describes exactly what she was describing as a
Really?
cowbird.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, it looks like B-roll, but unless you know what Vivarium is too,
Mhm.
that it basically is exactly that, like a bird.
All right. Yeah, did they show that in the credits, like the bird eating?
That was the beginning.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the beginning,
that's cool.
and it was like a a foreshadow for
Right,
what
for
the movie was
gonna
about.
happen.
But
Mhm.
That
a
movie
lot of
was
people,
crazy.
a lot of people don't read into that because they're seeing B-roll. Oh, it's a bird.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
doing bird things.
Yeah,
But
if you
yeah.
like slow moving weird ass movies,
That was,
watch Vivarium.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's got Jesse Eisenberg and what's her name?
She's popular. Popular. Oh, never mind. That's from Wicked.
It'll
Okay.
come to me.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one actually.
Yeah, these people they buy a house in a neighborhood, or they didn't even buy it. They're looking at it.
Yeah.
Like they go in with some realtor, and he's like a weird guy, the
Mhm.
realtor, and they get in this neighborhood, and the guy like vanishes, and they can't get out of the neighborhood. Like no matter where they drive, it takes them right back to the same house.
That's how I feel in my dad's
And so they just
neighborhood.
like decide to live there, and they just started living there, like, and they can't get out of the neighborhood. It's a weird
Is it
ass
one of
movie.
those neighborhoods that's just like all the houses look the same?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
So my
Oh, yeah,
dad lives
They all
exactly
look
the
the
same.
same,
And then they
and no
literally
one else lives
It's
there.
a
Though. Like they're
cul-de-sac everywhere. Like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
basically, they keep walking like through. They keep jumping fence,
Yeah.
jumping fence, and they end up in their
in
backyard.
their
They're
backyard.
probably just in Sarasota.
It's so weird.
People in
It was
Sarasota.
a cool movie though.
Yeah, it was a good movie. So Cowbird. So I know this is a time movie, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
well,
1950s.
1950.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have like a lot of props, or was it, or you just went to a town where it just still in?
They're stuck in the 50s.
Pretty much everything was already there for us. The people, like, I mean, actually, what happened was, this was my first time like working with like a crew, I think like we kind of combined like industry people who have done shit that's much better than my stuff, and then just people like me. And we had a props manager, and my aunt actually, she's an artist, and she basically just she's on disability. She has an illness, so she hasn't really done much in the past few years. And she was like, I want to help you out with this film. And she lives up there, and so I got to get to know her a little bit better. And she had a friend that owned a thrift store, and basically
Nice.
we made a deal. I was like, I'll give you $280. Let me take what I want, and I'll return it all to you in a couple weeks. So it was basically like a rental.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the props manager basically went in, took all the stuff that we had over like 400 props in my script. Like I had originally told Chris, I was like, dude, I'm just gonna do this like you said, like do it all like simple
Mhm.
and all that. And then I totally just fucking lied to Chris and myself, and just made things a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And somehow we pulled it off. But I didn't really care if it was like specifically 1950s. I just wanted the aesthetic. But I think my crew just was really, really set on, oh, this has to be perfect. Everything's got to be from the 1950s, like
Right.
exactly. And it caused a little bit of tension because I was like, I don't really care, like, and that's not really unprofessional in my opinion, because I think that it's just fucking trippy and cool to have that vibe going. I don't think
Right.
that
Yeah.
people are gonna be like, oh, that spoon looks like it's more from the 70s.
Right.
But it was great that I had a
Well, if you look at a movie like It Follows,
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say,
you had
you don't
no
even-
clue what era
that
that
was
was.
what they used as an example.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well,
Zach was like,
you-
well, it could be like that.
Yeah,
Could be
you didn't,
anything, like,
you
it was
didn't know
so
what
weird.
season it was. You didn't know, like, because there was one scene swimming at the beach in the pool, and then next be in winter coats, and
Right.
like be like, I'm like,
I love
what is
shit
going
like
on?
that.
Yeah,
That
that movie
makes
was
no
so
sense.
crazy.
Like just kind of like things that, like, I don't think that has to be explained if it
Right.
looks cool.
There was no cell phones.
Yeah.
But then that one girl had that little
The
compact
flip phone,
thing.
The flip phone.
It wasn't a phone.
Oh,
it was
no.
like I don't even know what it was.
It was like one of those pagers.
It was
a two-way pager.
I don't know what it was, but it was weird.
Yeah.
And then like some of the cars were modern and some were old. And,
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it was
that's
just
Detroit.
such
Well, that's Detroit for you.
Yeah, I
That's
remember I was
Detroit.
watching that movie and I'm like, I have no idea what time period this is. Like, it was so strange.
Yeah.
But- Great freaking movie though.
Yeah. Well, it's always on.
And that score, man.
It's-
That score of that movie is
Oh,
just
yeah.
so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I haven't even watched it yet, but I've been told several times, like when I was doing Cowbird, like this, they're like, oh, this reminds me of It Follows with the whole like
Yeah.
1950s, whatever. And
And Mace, like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
yeah, I was just like, I don't know, it wasn't something that.
Well, it's an artistic choice.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the top 5
That's
horror
what I
movies
say.
of the last 20 years,
Yeah.
maybe.
Unfortunately, I've just seen it so many times.
Yeah, I've seen it so many
Yeah,
times.
that's always
So
what I say. It's an artistic choice. People are like,
Yeah.
oh, this dress that you brought,
Mm-hmm.
because I had a makeup artist, and she also did the wardrobe. She's like, this shit's from like the 90s. I'm like, bro, it's an artistic choice. And she's like, dude, you can't keep using that as an excuse.
yes, you
I'm
can.
like, no, yes, I can. Yeah, exactly,
I
right?
say, last time I checked, I'm the director.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
what I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
She did a good job with the clothes and everything, but it was just a whole thing, man, that I don't know, I wasn't like prepared mentally, because it's like a lot of these people were used to doing like SAG shit,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
so like I feel like I'm definitely an amateur with my directing style.
Of course you are. You're 20 years old.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here's the thing. When I first started, I didn't go to film school or anything. I read books and stuff, and I figured out, like, in my brain, this is how a movie's made. And it was totally wrong.
Yeah.
But throughout the years, I've always surrounded myself with people that know way more than I do
Mhm.
and learn from them people.
Mhm.
And, you know, my first movie was a piece of shit. Like, it was
Mm-hmm.
terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I used that as my film school. You know, I had an FX artist that had worked on like huge movies, Nightmare on Elm Streets
Mm-hmm.
and Alien and Predator and all these movies. And he was there to do our FX, but it was great having them there because he told us how to do stuff, and well, this is normally how they do it, or
Mm-hmm.
this is what you should do. And
Yeah.
you know, he gave me his opinion, and it was valued. But I learned a lot from him. And then, you know, my second feature, I hired a DP that had worked on big stuff. Like, he did like $10,000 music videos and helicopters and all this crazy
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned how to be a cinematographer from him, just literally just watching him. Like, being, I was the director, he was the DP. I was over his shoulder, just watching him,
Mm-hmm.
how he, you know, shot stuff and what he did and how he did his coverage and all that. Um, so that's good that you're working with people that know more than you, because
Yeah.
you're going to learn from them.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I had gaffers who were also special effects artists, so they were telling me how to set certain things up. Because I don't like write my scripts for my budget. I just write them as if I'm fucking Spielberg and I have
Right.
everything. Because then I feel like I just like to like make my team scared. No, I'm just kidding. But like
Yeah.
they'll read my script, and it was really funny. This is my first time having an AD that Zach brought on board, and Dan is like very organized, and he's only done shorts so far, but they've all gone really well. And then this was his first feature film, and he reads the script. He's like, Mace, the script is 140 pages.
Holy
He was like, I need
shnikes.
you to shorten the script, and I was like, okay, I'll shorten it. And so I sent it back to him, and he calls me. He's like, dude, I told you to shorten it, and it's 12 pages longer. And what I was trying to do is like I know that that's definitely something I need to work on, because I'm like, well, a lot of it I write it like a novel because I want to like show the crew like and the cast really envision it, and a lot of the cast were like, I appreciate that, because a lot of the words were really just describing things that
Yeah, I mean, that's
aren't
the
in
thing, is if the
scripts. So
script's that long and it's all descriptive stuff, I mean, that's not bad really. But
yeah, yeah. But it wasn't like that much dialogue for that reason, but there was still like way too much. Like we only shot probably like 90 pages, but it was doable. And that was the thing, was like I kept trying to tell my crew was they were freaking out over not completing it. And I mean,
yeah,
they were like, we're not meeting our goal. And I'm like, well, actually, we're meeting what's standard is like, I think it was like 10 pages a day. And I'm like, we're
yeah,
doing that.
that's
It's
a
not
lot.
that you guys are being, not realistically like meeting the goal. I'm like, I'm just, a crazy writer. And I had, given them 14 days because we had a break. We had like a 1 day break to complete this big ass script. And also, what went wrong though was I had a lot of this planned out before. Like I had cast this in my head with people that I knew locally, and right after I screen triggered, I actually asked to book these people because I had written this with them in mind to play these roles. So I had like it's about a mom and a kid, and they were the main characters. So I had these people booked for like 6 months, and then a few days before we're about to shoot, the one who's supposed to play the main character, Harriet, um, tells me that she just didn't feel comfortable with like traveling, and just it just didn't seem like I had my shit together. And I was like, what do you mean? Like I felt like I did, but also it was hard to find an Airbnb up there because it's the middle of fucking nowhere.
Hmm.
And so she was worried I wouldn't be able to book an Airbnb on time. So she was like, I think that we should push this back until you know like where we're gonna stay at. And so I was like, okay, I respect that. And so I just kind of thought about it. And then I guess the kid's mom, who was playing the main character, found out about that. And then they decided to remove themselves from it too. So it kind of was a domino effect. Everyone's like, God, well, if your main character dropped, you're not going to be able to recast her. Why am I going all the way up there? So
Hmm.
I lost like my whole cast, and it was 2 days before shooting.
Jeez.
So what I had to do was I had to use someone who was just going to be a production assistant that Zach brought on board, who's actually a super talented actress, and she already had a reel too, and she ended up being Harriet. But then I didn't have a kid, so I was like, where the fuck am I going to get a kid at? So I was literally like auditioning children from the town into this house. And
little boy.
pretty much, and I was asking my aunt, like, I sound so fucking creepy whenever I speak about anything. And I don't know why, I'm just really bad at phrasing things, but I was like, I really need little boys to come out to the woods and let me film them. And my aunt was like bringing in all the small town kids, and they were coming, and their parents were bringing them, and they never seen shit like this. Like,
Right.
this town is
It's a
literally
big deal for
stuck
them.
in like the 70s. And when they get here, like, it just looks big to them. And so there's a kid on the property that looked exactly like the kid that I needed, and he was 7 years old, and his mom decided to bring him in and let me talk to him, and he's really really smart, but this kid was like super like just distracted, and these kids are different. They don't have iPads and shit. They like beat rocks and stuff, and he's like, I turn around and he's nailing something. Like, where'd you get the nail from with the big stick like into the ground? And I'm like, Sawyer, let's have a conversation. So have you ever wanted to act before? And he's like, yeah, I've done a film before, and he told me all about it. And I was like, wow, okay, that's crazy. So I talked to his mom. She's like, he's never done a film. And I mean, this kid was so
Kids.
confident about it too, and he's like, I'd like to give it a try. So I'm thinking he's gonna be impossible to work with, because every time I talk to him, he's got a rock in his hand
Right.
and stuff. And this kid ended up fucking like kicking ass. Like, he memorized all his lines,
Wow.
and it was hard for me because he didn't know anything about film, so I had to explain to the 7-year-old, because the whole character that he's playing is really just a demon in the shape of a boy. Like, that's the form that it takes, and it has a very like it's a very mature concept, because it represents grief and turmoil in a family, and that's really what the demon is, and it feeds off the tension and the elephants in the room
Hmm.
with the family. So when I was explaining to him, I was like, all right, so think of it like this. You're going to be playing a monster, but we don't have a costume for you. So you're going to have to be looking like you. And he was like, okay. And I was like, so what would you like see yourself as if you were going to be this monster? What would you look like? So he starts telling me horns and all this shit, and big claws. And I was like, okay, so pretend that that's what you look like right now. And you're very like, like a predator, and you're just going to be very quiet, and it's almost like you're ready to, pounce on your prey. So you're just going to be very like observant. And he's like,
Hmm.
okay. And he asked a lot of questions too, and we're just out here having this good conversation, and all of a sudden he looks up at the house, which that's another story. This house has a lot of fucked up history, and he's like, who's that in the window up there?
Oh boy.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's in the window. He's like, that man right there. Who's up there in that window? I was like, I don't know. Nobody's up there. And he's like, oh, okay. I thought I saw a monkey man up there. And then I'm thinking, like, what? Because we had a lot of paranormal activity
Nice.
in that
Should have
house.
filmed that.
And dude, it was like ridiculous, because I'm not really like, I believe in that shit,
Oh yeah.
but like, I feel it, I see it, but I'm not someone who's going to convince myself it's there
Right.
just for the fun of it, because that shit scares me. So like, when I was curious as to how my aunt got this house so easily, and she tells me, when I found out a few months ago, she's like, hey, I found the house that you're looking for. I'd actually texted her. I was like, hey, I want to shoot something on a farm maybe in a few months. You got any leads? 2 hours later, she's like, I got your farm, I got your silos, I got the house. I said, how? And she's like, oh, I just drove into this guy's property and asked him if I could use this creepy house he's got. And I was like, okay. So we decided to go up to North Carolina and check it out. And I told Zach, I'm like, yeah, it's really cool. Apparently, there's an abandoned house on this property in the middle of the woods, and they're going to let us film in it. And Zach's like, are we going to get murdered?
And it was like fully furnished and everything.
They had left their shit in there.
Jeez,
and
that's awesome.
and it was creepy. And when we went up to see it, I guess there was like a feud between, like, I guess like the will, because the owner of the farm and then the people who owned the house like died, and then there was this will, like, who gets the property. And so the family finally got ownership of the house, and it hadn't been like lived in like 11 years. And so I met them, and it was just a really eerie place, because you had to drive 40 minutes out of town
Ooh.
and down this big road. There's like coyotes and stuff, and then there's this house, and it has this like really weird vibe. And I was like, I love it, man. It's awesome. And so I looked at everything, and I mean, it had like a couch and all this stuff. And she was like, oh yes, this was my dad's home, and You can do anything you want in here, just don't go in his office. And I was like, okay.
And that just makes you want to
And
go in his office.
oh yeah, I mean, she let us look in it, and it was full of books and stuff, and it looked like a study, like a mad scientist study. And she was like, if you could put that in the contract, that would be great. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, awesome, free house, whatever.
Right.
And like a few months later, when we're about to film, like I wrote it in my contract, and she made a few requests to my AD. She's like, please make sure all the lights are turned off when you leave the home, and only leave through the side door. I'm like, okay. And she's like, also don't lock the door. So we weren't allowed to lock the door. I don't know why. Um, and she didn't leave us a key, so we had to like leave it unlocked, and we couldn't go out the front door. So we had these like weird rules. Now day one, like when we get there, there's a spine like on the steps, like a goat spine, just sitting there. And I don't know why. I was really overwhelmed, so I didn't even give a fuck. And I just walked right past it. And my crew's getting there to meet me for the first time. They're like, spine? I was like, I don't know where that came from. Something died. I don't know. Um, I don't know. And we go in the house and whenever it's cool. And we're going like up the steps just to look around. Like the gaffers are checking everything out, like where they can, light stuff and plug stuff in. And there's like this big, like, piece of carpet that's like over another piece of carpet, and they're like looking under it, and then we pull it back and there's a big pile of like, it's like a big red stain, and on the banister there's like streaks of like red, like it looks like someone grabbed the banister, and then it's literal footprints like walking, like they lead to
What?
another room.
Nope.
And I'm like, well,
What's the logical explanation?
I was like, what is that?
That's
and
illogical.
and so the gaffers are like, is that blood? And I was like, I don't know. I don't. And they're like, well, who lived here? I said, well, I don't know. He's dead. And they're
Well, we
like,
know where
well,
he died.
how'd he die? I said, I don't know. So we did. I mean, that happened, and they were very like, they're with the studio affiliated. Like they don't do that bullshit. They're like, well, whatever. We'll make it work. Like we're not talking about paranormal stuff. And um, one of my producers, he's just really into like horror, and he's from Missouri, and he's like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like we got a bloody house," and he was just fucking stoked. And that night, like we're there till like 3 a.m. Again, no street lights in the middle of nowhere in this creepy ass house, and we're having a production meeting. And I have my production assistant, sweetest girl ever. She's super Catholic though, so she's like really like, just anything paranormal. She's like, that's demonic. She's here. She's here. I'm there. Zach's there. We have my AD who doesn't believe in shit, but being organized, binders, tabs, all things, like he didn't care about anything. And then there's Gage, who is my producer, is more like creative and believes in all that shit. And we're just all talking about what we need to do and how we're gonna make this thing work. And all of a sudden, like this old radio that we had got from the thrift store that hadn't ever worked turns on, and we're just all like, bro, what? And Gage is like, oh, that's awesome, no, this place is haunted. And my production assistant, or she's all like, she's also the art director, so that's why she was there in the meeting. And she's like, guys, this is not funny. And I literally felt like we're in a movie. I was like, I didn't do it. Like, well, how did that turn on? And so Gage goes out and he's like, oh my god, like I just checked it, like how did it get plugged in, and all this stuff. And I mean, I was like, I don't know, like nobody else is here. And so we're just sitting there, and Dan's like, okay, let's just get back to what we were talking about, like completely ignores the creepy radio. And then we start going through shit, and all of a sudden like something in like the kitchen area like scoots like across the floor. PA starts crossing herself, which and like I mean, I was spooked as fuck. Like in this place that we're in, this kitchen has all open, like there's no curtains, it's just all glass windows, and all you can see is darkness and woods. And Zach's like, I don't like this. And I was like, yeah, that's a little weird, man. And then the lights literally start to fucking flicker. And then Gage is like, oh dude, this is really weird, and he's so excited. And then all of a sudden, like the makeup artist walks out of one of the rooms. She had been ironing, and they all turn around and just scream, like Zach like chucks the binder across the room. Gage like just, I mean, belts out, oh my god. And then she was like, oh, what's happening? And then we're just like laughed about it for like 2 minutes. And I was like, dude, I didn't know you're still here. Did you do the radio? She's like, no, I had my headphones in. We talked about, I was in another room ironing. So she heads out. Next day, we're back there. There's a fucking skull and a pile of bones right by the house, like in a pile. Like someone put it there.
It's like somebody's messing with you.
I'm like, someone's fucking with us, dude.
Yep.
We're in the so we go
Them
back and
city folk.
I swear, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And so the next day, like, more like weird shit starts happening, and like the lights are going on and off, and then the door starts locking every time it shuts. Like we're going in and out, and then the door's like locking, and people are like, "Why'd you lock us out? Like we're bringing gear in." I'm like, "Nobody's locking the fucking door," and it just kept getting weirder. And then I think like the third night we're like shooting like in the kitchen. And the gaffers who had been irritated with me because I kept making paranormal jokes, they're like, "All right, come on, guys." They're outside and they're lighting like fake moonlight, and in the middle of the shoot, they're like out there like they look like freaked out, and I'm like, "What's going on?" So we say cut, and they just run in. They're in the hallway, and like, oh, I'm like, "Dude, what's up?" And they're like, "No, just finish what you're doing." I was like, "No, what happened?" And they're like, "Who is fucking with the walkies?" And like we're all in here, no one was on their walkie. And they're like, "Well, we just literally heard like weird shit, like someone talking like came through the radio." And we were outside, and then like there were like coyotes like eating stuff at the same time, like in the woods. And I was like, "Are you're not you're kid?" And they're like, "Dude, we wouldn't lie about this shit, man." And they're like, "Don't tell anyone else, like, it's not a big deal." I'm like, "Well, that sounds weird to me." And they said it sounded like a baby crying, and that was like another thing that they heard on the radio. And so that night, I think it was like that night, or maybe the next night, I don't know, we're there again because I don't know why we're idiots, and it's because we're a bunch of white people in the fucking woods, and we don't but and we're just like, "Oh, well, this place is obviously haunted, let's stay here all night and work our production shit out." And we got in a big argument, me and my crew, like I don't even remember why. It was probably because it was late and like we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, and also I had this thick ass script that was impossible to do. And all of a sudden, like I felt this weird like thing, like I felt like I was like having a seizure, and it was just like random. And Gage just like looks at me at the same time. He's like, "Dude, we gotta get out of here," just out of nowhere. And I'm like, "Okay, you feel something weird too?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." Dan's like, "Well, let's just finish like the call sheets first." I'm like, "Bro, fuck that shit. Like, let's get out." So we're starting to get out. Zach's all like freaked out too, because Zach doesn't really believe in that stuff, but he's kind of like, "This is weird." And then we start hearing like, I swear, someone like upstairs like walking around, and Dan's like, "I'm gonna go see who's up there." I'm like, "Why?" Like, dude, he thought a crew member was up there. No one. He comes back down. He's like, "Oh, there's nobody. That was weird." And so we start to go out the side door, and as I'm going out the side door, there's literally, this is like 3 in the morning, a fucking flashlight coming out of the woods, like towards the house. And Gage just starts like screaming, he's like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! There's someone with a fucking flashlight coming towards us!" And I was like, "Shit! Like, what are we doing?" And then
He
and
was
then
coming to plant more bones.
I don't know what the fuck this person was doing, but we were really scared. And I was like, and the car's like parked way down of course, the driveway. And we had shot a scene where one of there's like the hick uncle like pulls into the driveway with his pickup truck, and he hits the mailbox. And so that's important in a second, but that's like laying outside. And then they were like, "Well, someone has to go first, and we can't go out the front door." And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going out the front door." And Dan's like, "Well, we said that we wouldn't do that." I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know what y'all want me to do." And Gage is like, "I'm not doing it." And Dan said, "I'd do it, but then one of you guys has to turn the lights off because we said that in the contract." I'm like, "This shit's bullshit." I said, "Whatever, I'll go." So I'm literally like darting out across like this big property, and like the pitch blackness, envisioning Michael Myers like behind me the whole time, and like just dart to the car. And they all start running behind me like these grown ass men, like, "Ah!" like flailing their arms. And like Gage was like in tears, and he was like, "Oh, this place is cursed, oh my god." And he's like the king of like gore, like he loves that shit. And we get out there, and then we're all getting Gage's car, and then we see someone with a flashlight coming towards us. "Oh, who the fuck is that?" And we're like, "Oh, it's Dan." And he's just walking with this flashlight. Like literally he's seen someone in the woods and he didn't give a shit. Like we get in the car, and then he like goes in reverse, and we hit the fucking mailbox that was on the ground, and the tire pops.
Oh,
And then he's like, "We got to get off the property before the tire like goes flat." And they're just hauling ass out of the property. And I mean, and so I was like thinking that there's some flashlight people in the woods. And then basically to skip to the end, it turned out that we found out like in the middle of this that this was an Indian burial ground, and these bones were like, I don't know if you guys know what the Wendigo is.
Yeah.
Gage is like getting all caught up in this shit, and he's like, guys, this is really bad. The Wendigo is after us. And I was like he was so serious, and we're at my aunt's house, and Zach's like, what the fuck is a Wendigo? And we're like talking about it, and we're doing research. We can't find shit on the house, and my aunt goes, what are y'all talking about? She's like, y'all know people died there. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah. She was like, there was like some drug dealers, some drug lords that like lived there, and they were being watched by the FBI for like a whole year, and they had drones and shit, and it was never proven, but they were like suspected of murder in that house. I said, you're kidding me. She's like, oh, I thought I told you. I'm like, no, you didn't fucking tell me that. So that happened too. And then she's like, then I remember that the owner's daughter had told me there was a plane crash there. And we had been hearing planes, but we couldn't see them. That was fucking with the audio. And that happened too. And that was like confirmed. That I'm like, so all these people like died here. And she's like, oh yeah, and the doctor that originally lived there, he just died in the house. I don't know how. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? So my friends, like that I was saying I had to share a bed with my best friend and her boyfriend. And so they're in the house with us, and they're like, we found a witch store that's, 3 miles away. It's open till 6 a.m. I'm like, there ain't even a fucking Taco Bell out here, but there's a witchcraft store. And Gage is like, we need to go. We need to get sage, like all this shit. So then, like, we all got convinced that this Wendigo was after us. And we start going through the footage, and we're like, we're indulged in this
This
shit.
would have been a great found footage movie, right?
Yeah.
Bro, like, we were indulged. All of us, like, literally all of us were fucking crying. We were also, like, high, but we were all like, oh, the Wendigo's after us. Like, I mean, this was bad for me. Like, I really, like, genuinely think there was some weird shit there, but I was, like, overreacting. I was being really weird. The next day, we show up to set, and all of us has giant crosses around our neck, and we say absolutely nothing about it. And it's just like me, my producer Zach, and then my best friend, who was one of the actors. We all have crosses, and I had just been making like religion jokes like the day before, so they're all like, "What is going on here?" and it was just so that was like the whole like gist of it. And then when we came back, there's literally another pile of bone, and it wasn't like it was not there before, but it has hair, and it was like obviously like a goat. And so I guess Gage and my best friend go in the forbidden room, and they start looking into the books in there, and there's some books on how to expel fucking demons.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, and Gage is like, dude, you might have to stop this production. And I'm like, no. Like, what? Like, there's no way I'm stopping this production because some fucking demon is being a bitch. So, like, I, like, went in when they were all on break, and we went upstairs, and I go into by the forbidden room, and I'm, like, talking to this thing. I'm like, hello, my name is Mace. I'm an artist. I'm not trying to fuck with your house. And I feel like an idiot. And I'm trying to record it. And we're all like get in like the zone. We're just staying there like we're not here to hurt you. And we want to embrace your home. And then we're just like, then we go down and we go out to the like kind of the wood area while everyone's still eating. Let's listen to it. And nothing. Like, it's literally just me being an idiot in a room. We got nothing back. Like, I mean...
Yeah, but don't you prefer that, though? That you
I
got
do,
nothing?
but I'm like, now I feel like it was for nothing. That I just looked like a fool, and now I had to listen to my own voice back for like 4 minutes about, and one of I think the gaffers was outside taking a smoke break, and he just hears me playing this recording.
Right. That's funny.
I was like, yeah, so that was...
How long was the shoot?
How long? It was like, we were there, well, I was there for 20 days in North Carolina, but the shoot was technically 15, but we had like a day break in between. But it was, yeah, we had turnaround time and everything, which kind of honestly made things go behind because I'm used to just shooting constantly.
Yeah.
But working with people who are like, used to SAG stuff, like you gotta do like 12 hours of downtime. So considering the first day we started at 4 o'clock, like that was a problem because then like a lot of my scenes took place in the morning, and that was like the thing. That's why we had to have a day break, and I didn't even think about it. Like, I mean, I sound like crazy, but I didn't even think about having a day break.
So this was a SAG
So
project?
no, but I
You just had
worked with
SAG people
SAG
working?
people, and that
And they're
was
paying the ass.
yeah, to some extent. Yeah, it was definitely something different for sure. They could tell that I wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, union.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say too much about it, but I've worked on SAG projects and other stuff, and it's just there's too many rules. Rules. We don't film with rules really. When
Yeah.
we film, we just like
You just shoot stuff.
yeah, like
Just
Have
knock it
fun.
out.
Shoot stuff.
Yeah,
And go home.
Yeah, we just
Pretty much.
knocked
Wake
that
up
shit
the
out.
next day and do it again.
Everything had like a contract, and I mean, we got this like 1950s mint condition pickup truck out to the property. My art director worked that out, and we didn't even really know how to drive that thing. And it comes out into the property. This guy's probably thinking we're like, some Netflix crew or something, and it's just me and my pajamas. And I was like, "Whoa, that's a cool car!" And I don't know shit about cars. And he brings it out, and my props manager, she's was saying that she knew how to drive a stick shift.
false.
Well,
No.
I don't know if it was her or the truck, but we almost broke it, and there was like no
Oh.
contract. And I was like, "Where did this truck come from?" My art director was like, "Oh, Facebook." I'm like, and the gaffers and then my sound mixer, like they're the ones who are like most professional, and they're like, "You had someone bring out their actual vintage truck from the 1950s in mint condition that you're gonna drive, on your set, and you don't have a contract, and you don't know the guy's name." It's like, no, but it's here and it looks badass.
Right.
So let's shoot it, man. And I mean, that's it. That's what we did. It was cool. But our original car didn't work out because we'd have to tow. Like, I don't think about this shit. Like, I'm still
Yeah.
a stupid director. I'm just thinking about the product. I'm like, I didn't think we'd have to tow it out there and all that.
Well,
I'm
that's a
thinking,
producer's job. That's literally
Right.
the producer's job.
yeah, that I guess so. And the original car was from the 20s. And I was like, oh, he'll just drive it out to us.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's so old, man.
I mean, I like old hot rods. Old hot rods. There's
What was the Halloween tie-in?
The Halloween.
You posted something about Halloween Resurrection or something.
I did?
She was high. What do you expect? She was
Like
high in the middle of the woods.
Oh, it might have been.
She can't be held responsible for anything she does is high in the woods.
Oh my god. Yeah, it feels like all a dream to me.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, he's just gonna look.
Right.
Rolling, 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 rolling. Annie.
I mean, it was a horror. It was a psychological thriller film.
Yeah.
So I mean that.
So you're editing now?
Yes. I haven't really started on it yet because I'm in film debt and I can't get my hard drives. But I'm starting a new job on Friday.
Nice.
At Applebee's, bro. And then
They're holding your
Yeah.
your footage hostage.
well, Zach's got it, but I need
Oh.
it to edit. So I'm like,
So you work with DaVinci now?
I have not started with DaVinci yet, but
Yeah.
I plan to edit.
I
this
actually
in
started using it. It's pretty good.
How long did it take
I
you to
told
learn?
you.
30 minutes.
For real?
Yeah.
Like it was that. I heard it's a
super
little more
easy.
complicated.
Do you use Adobe?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can, like, when you download Resolve, it asks you what softwares you use,
Yeah.
and you click Adobe, and then all the keystrokes are the same as Adobe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm finding Resolve to be a lot easier, and they have a lot more features that are super simple. Like sometimes Adobe, like when you want to do text in Adobe,
Mhm.
it's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like you got to do all this stuff to just make a text.
Mhm.
This,
Nope.
dude, you just click it and you type, and it's already there.
Yeah,
It's
I hate
amazing.
text in Adobe. Sucks, man.
Well, you also have like After Effects
Mhm.
built
Yeah.
into the program.
Yeah,
Really?
Like
exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to open up Adobe After Effects, wait for that to load, then
Really?
import it to your. Yeah, you don't have to do any of that.
That's awesome.
It's all in one program. That's why I love DaVinci.
And you know how, like, when you say you want to do a digital zoom,
Mhm.
you got to go and you got to
The
like
keyframe.
do the keyframes
Yeah.
and all that shit.
Yeah.
All you do is click digital zoom, and it does everything for you. It
Yeah,
was
I always
amazing.
wondered like
I was like,
why
holy
that's
shit,
not just a
this
thing.
is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, it was so easy and awesome.
Mhm.
So I'm currently like making the switch, and what's cool about it is it's $300 for ever.
Nice. You don't have to.
Now,
That's
the
awesome.
weirdest thing about it is, so normally, like when you get Adobe Premiere, what do? You just download the
Yeah,
software,
yeah.
you sign in, you say this is my payment or whatever, and they pay you
Mhm.
20 bucks a month. So in order to get the DaVinci Resolve, now let me tell you, the free software is pretty awesome.
Mhm.
But if you want to get like all the extra stuff that comes with it, like the sound library and
Mhm.
like all this other stuff, it's $300. However, when you click upgrade, it takes you to a site that lists a bunch of stores that are like film stores or whatever,
Mhm.
and you have to call them. And I'm talking to this guy about this, and I'm just like, is this real life right now? So I call the guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get DaVinci Resolve upgraded, and it keeps pulling up this list of stores. And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. He goes, so basically what happens is I will send you an invoice for $300. You pay me, then I order it through DaVinci Resolve, and they will mail you a flash drive in
Fuck?
2 weeks. You will have a flash drive,
Yep.
and you have to upload it into your computer by the flash drive. And I'm just like, are we in
Hilarious.
1992? Like, what? On?
Getting
It's
the
the weirdest
AOL.
process. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Just I don't have anything to edit right now. So
See, mine just came with the cameras.
yeah, like when you get it, the Black Magic camera came with it.
Yeah,
But
Wow.
now it's
free. Yeah.
like, yeah. So I'm just like, okay,
It's such a
cool.
weird
Yeah,
process.
it's very
What
strange.
the fuck?
Committer
Yeah.
can, but it's pretty good. I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Zach should have it. He's got the Black Magic camera.
Yeah.
He should
Yeah.
have the
So I
DaVinci
bought
Resolve.
mine used, so it didn't come
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. Always get the dongle. Play
Oh.
with the dongle. Always use the dongle.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to start working in that, and also like I like that it has the footage already in there
Mhm.
for you. I know that takes up more space, and the processing is more intense, but um that's better for me. I can't tell you how many times I've had issues with the hard drives and Adobe, and just it's just kind of like
I think Adobe crashing all the time. Like I
yeah.
was done with that. Like I know I sat for 4 hours at one doing one video, and it crashes, and then I'm like, I was literally done, done.
It had like a glitch where I don't remember what it was, but like it was like part of the saving process where if you like had like you did these certain like hotkeys for the update,
Yeah,
it would just automatically crash. And I looked that up and they were like, "Oh, we're working on it." And then it was like that for like the next month. And I kept having to redo stuff over and over again. And it's not really like industry standard anymore because Da Vinci's kind of climbing the ladder with that.
yep.
And I think that that's just kind of the best route to take as an editor. And I want to get more into like doing special effects and stuff.
Oh
I
yeah.
was also looking into going to school for audio engineering just because it's something I don't know anything about,
Right.
and I want to know how to mix my own sound
Yep.
like in post. So that's something that I'm
Well,
interested in. If
DaVinci
I
Resolve has a good sound system on it.
really,
The Fairlight, yeah. They bought out
Yeah.
Fairlight and then they put it into their DaVinci Resolve, so you can actually do a lot of tweaking and
dude, that's
mastering on there.
compact. There's so much stuff in there.
It's really good.
Yeah,
Like I said, the
it's a
free
cool
one
software.
is the free one is really powerful, but the paid one is a lot more powerful.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
like there's so much more. That's literally why I built
Like
my
I edited
entire
a whole
system.
music video on the free one, and
Really?
it had everything I needed in it.
Yep.
And it just didn't have like the sound effects and the
Yeah.
music library, and they have more effects and stuff that you can get. So it's pretty cool. So on October 18th, Mace Walker posted, "Today the producers of Halloween 5 rejected our film unless I step down from director and my producers let their production take over."
That's what you're talking about, the movie Halloween. I was thinking
No.
about the holiday.
So-
Yeah, yeah. Somehow Gage like got in touch with these producers because Halloween 5's old as fuck, but he's like they still like
And
produce.
shitty.
Yeah, and he like got in touch with them, and they were apparently he had like gotten money from them, like small like chunks of it for his stuff, for other things that he had done, because he's done like short films and stuff, all kinds of like horror shit. And so he got this phone call with them and sent them like a package. Like I think he sent them like the script and like some other stuff, like our BTS and everything.
Pitch
And
deck.
yeah, pretty much. And they were like, okay. So they did a phone call with him, and they're like, so what's your budget? And he was like, oh, $6,000. And they were like, oh, really? And you're having a 20-year-old direct this? He's like, yeah. And they're like, all right, go fuck yourselves. And that was basically like how it went down. And she's like, you tell them that I'm gonna come down there and I'm gonna take over that set, or you guys can just have a shitty set and never make it anywhere. And I was like, I choose Plan B.
Right.
So, I mean, and Gage was just kind of just devastated over that, because it did seem like we would have gotten offered some, like, because this person is not like a film person really, but they invest in shit.
Mm.
And so he went to like the bar, and my dad always told me, he's like, you want to get to know who you're working with, get them drunk. And the only issue with that was, so did I. And and so like Gage was there first, and he's like, you guys need to come out here, there's some tension on set. And that was something that I was like, why is there tension on fucking set? Because I felt like there wasn't. And maybe I'm just very like, I'm that director that's just, the what you would see an amateur director as. Like, I didn't see a problem with a lot of shit that they thought was a problem.
Mm.
And then we all go out to like this bar, and Gage is just like gone. Like he I guess he was just so upset over this loss. And so he's already gone. And then everyone else comes out to the bar, and they're all gone, and we have like this big like night where it's just us in this bar in the middle of fucking nowhere town. And they're like, man, I just love cinema. Like, I don't even care like what goes on. Like, I just love cinema. And we're all like,
Cinema.
yeah. And we were all like, yeah. This also, everyone's like just emotional. Like, this is awesome. Like, this is we're like family. This is like day 3. I don't know any of these fucking people. And so we got like the big beer thing, and they're like, oh, um, lighting versus sound. Who? And then we're doing like DP versus director, and like who can chug it and shit like that. And it was just this like big night and all that. And I was like, yeah, everyone's cool. Like, fuck the money, right, guys? Like, yeah, we just like to make movies and stuff. And then the next day, everyone's like, all right, so let's talk about invoices. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that. And I had to really like, I the stupidest choice that I made with this film was, first off, writing it, and second off, not going to college, and thirdly, the fact that I did not budget for food at all. And I was like, oh, that's not going to be a problem, because I don't know why I didn't think it would be that expensive, but I think 20 people, because I had a cast and I had a crew. And so I literally did not even think about it. Like, I'm like, oh, it's fine. I have like $1,000 for that. But that shit went so fast,
Yeah.
because it's like, if you average it out to like $10 a person every day, and you got to do like a meal a day at least,
Right.
then that shit's gonna start like costing you a bunch of money.
That adds up really quickly.
Yeah, it
Oh
does.
yeah, it did. And especially when we're like out there and there's nothing, it's like, you want me to go hunt you a deer and cook that shit up? Like, there was,
And you gotta pay them. You gotta give them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
I
Every day.
had to do pretty much. It wasn't like meals, because I mean, we were on set like normally in the afternoon, so I would do like one meal, and then I would have to have like a bunch of snacks. Now, it didn't
Mhm.
help that half of them were like deathly allergic to gluten and everything else up in North Carolina Aldi stores. So it's like, you can't just go and get like kombucha tea and shit like
Right.
that and avocado toast up there. Like, they're stuck in, like I said, like they got like like deer meat and shit like that up there. And
It's funny. One
so
thing I did is I've always whenever I started making movies, I always sent a questionnaire with my casting. Like if I'm casting,
mhm.
the person submits their headshot and stuff. I send them a questionnaire to fill out. And one of the questions is, do you have any food allergies? Because I worked on I directed a movie called Seeing Evil, and we had uh, milk allergy, lactose intolerant. One girl was allergic to like air. She was allergic to everything.
Yeah.
We had 2 vegans, a vegetarian. It was like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And the caterer had to make special meals for each one of these people.
Yeah.
And that cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
All that extra shit we had to buy. And so now, if you got a food allergy,
We
I don't even
sent one
cast
out
you.
actually, but it seemed like people added on to that. I think there was only like 2 people that actually said that they had problems with gluten, and
Yeah,
both of them were,
fuck
were
that.
health reasons. But then I don't know what happened because my AD knows most about, like, he was really good at sending stuff out and everything, but it just seemed like everyone starts converting to like gluten free. And there was one anonymous request that I stop putting soda on set because this person, whoever requested this, has no self control and will drink sugar. And
How is that your problem?
I don't know. And so I didn't know this, and somehow my debit card got floating around, and that was another thing that happened. But my AD was. I asked him. I was like, why is it every time someone comes back from the grocery store, there's a bunch of like literal juice boxes. I'm like, where is the Coke? Like, and the Mountain Dew and stuff. And Dan was like, oh, well, I got a request saying that they didn't want any soda on set. I'm like, well, why can't they just not? Who the fuck said this? So, um, I was like, okay, well, I'll just have my own personal cooler then.
Right. That's what I usually
Keep
do.
my like soda in there. And it was such a weird request to have like no soda on set. But then they were like, well, there's not enough drink options. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you want me to do, like milk a fucking cow, like.
Water.
Bottles of water. That's
I mean,
it.
I had water, and then I had like some gluten-free like granola bars and stuff like that.
Crew members don't get a rider. They don't get to decide what's
Right.
on.
Here's your fucking bottle of
Sorry,
water
but-
and your Cuban
Here's-
sandwich. Shut up.
I was yeah. Here's a couple packets of bagels and some water and
Right.
have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
I had to get like gluten-free bread. Eventually, by the end of this set, everything on my set was completely gluten-free.
Oh my god.
We were cooking
that
gluten-free every night, and like my aunt would cook dinner and stuff like that. And I heard
That's
a few
terrible.
complaints that I heard like, oh, it was a little bland. I'm
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
God.
but not to
Why
shit
does
on
everything
not to
taste like
shit on
cardboard
the
up here?
crew like that, because these were all like really really skilled people. But it was
Yeah.
also like I felt like to me it was a little bougie.
Yeah,
I
it's a
guess,
nightmare.
'cause
Yeah.
I'm
dealing with
not
that.
used to that kind of thing, and also like when people heard that I wasn't complaining about this, but I was just like, I don't care if I shoot more than 10 hours, but obviously if I'm directing, yeah, I mean if you're doing audio or something that probably sucks ass, but I mean I was like paying overtime and stuff like that, so I was like I don't really care, it's what we have to do, what we have to do.
Mhm.
And I think that made me come off as if I didn't want anyone to feel like
You
I
didn't
was.
care about the crew.
Yeah, and I told them, I was like, I always left it up to them.
Mhm.
I was like, do you want to shoot more? Do you not want to shoot more? But I'm just so used to like with Triggered, like I had just like a camera guy and or, like my DP really, but we would just get through shit so fast because everything was like a gimbal shot or something like that, and it looked good enough. Like it wasn't like
Mhm.
professionally lit and
Should have said,
everything.
look,
but
people, we got 144 pages to shoot in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we did not, and also the girl that was supposed to be playing one of these characters could not. She and her boyfriend were like another couple like characters that I had, and basically, long story short, I had to play her role because she couldn't make it, and she played a pregnant girl, so I had to walk around with like a pregnant belly and direct shit, and also my hair was blue, and I had to dye it on set because you can't have blue hair in the 50s. So the art director literally dunks my head in the sink. I had a PA run and grab box dye, dyes my hair brown. That's why my hair is brown. And I had to pull my nose ring out, and that closed up in 2 hours. And I'm like walking around with a trash bag stuffed in like this weird pregnancy belly thing I got online, directing, and then my cousin ends up having to play my boyfriend. Now I haven't talked to my cousin since I was like fucking a toddler, like I was like a toddler, and he comes out to set and he's like, oh, he had only known that I make movies through Facebook, and he was like, what did you need me for? I heard that you need my help. I was like, yeah, I need you to play my baby daddy. And he's like, okay.
It's like,
And
what is this, Mississippi?
literally, we were just like, we had no time to rehearse, and everyone's like, Mace, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you like, I'm like, dude, this was unplanned. It's better to have him than nothing. And then they were like, well, I feel like it'd be better to have nothing at this point. Just cut the characters. And I should have taken that advice, but I was like, no. So, like, we literally throw my cousin in this scene, and where they knock over the mailbox, and we have this big log truck. I don't know where that came from either, but we're in this log truck, and I had to get out of the back of the log truck because they're like a hick family and stuff, and we're riding in the back, and I've got a pregnant Billy. And then basically I went over the lines with him, and the only line he has is where he's making like a sexual reference to me. And it was like, the line was really weird, and I don't know what I was thinking when when I wrote this, but it was like the mom was like saying, okay, you guys can't share a bed because they're having a family reunion. She finds out I'm pregnant, and that my grandma's like, oh, well, you guys are sleeping in separate rooms, and all the dialogue's super weird, so it's just like awkward comedy, like that's just my style, like everything's just fucking dry and weird. And he was like, and my cousin or my boyfriend was supposed to be like, oh, well, why can't we sleep together? That's like, I think he said it's like leaving clothes out in the rain, and then I don't know, like complaining about them being I don't know, like not wanting them to get wet, so you bring them inside. I don't fucking know. It was like, it's already there, it's already happened. It was a weird like analogy, and this the fact that I don't know how I wrote it, but the word like wet was in there, and it wasn't meant to be like that, but it was like, oh, if something's already wet, why does it matter if it rains or some shit like that? That was what the analogy was. And he was like, what? Like, you want me to say this? And I was like, yeah. And we can only do one take because the sun is setting. So let's get in the back of this log truck, and then we get out and jump out the back, like just jump off the log truck, and then you make a reference to, well, I've already fucked her. Why can't I do it again? And then that's it. And he's like, okay. And like we get in the back of the truck, and as it's like rolling into driving into the driveway, I was like, so how's like the past 18 years been? And he's just like, cool. How's it been with you? I'm like, well, you can already tell. We get there, then like I stand up, and I'm a shitty actor. Okay, I'll own that shit. Like I think I can direct actors pretty well because I know what I'm looking for. But when I'm on camera, my confidence just drops, and I'm like, what the fuck do I look like? I feel like I look weird. And I mean, everyone who's not in front of the camera usually probably feels that way. So that's why I feel like that derails my ability to do anything. And when we get up to the driveway, I'm supposed to jump out of the car, and as I'm jumping out of the car, or it's higher than I thought it was, and my dress gets caught on the nail. So I'm like, I fell off it. I'm like hanging off the truck with like my whole ass exposed. And they're like, why are we here? Like the mixer like booms for Kevin fucking Smith, and he's just watching this 20-year-old hang off this log truck with her whole like thong just like out here like this, like trying to direct this movie. And then my cousin, I'm like, this is actually like becoming real life. Now my cousin is seeing my ass. Like, come on, like why? And he's like, oh, and he's like trying to help me up, and he pulls me off the nail, and we like reset, and I'm like, sorry, that was weird. And he's like, oh, you're fine. And we reset. We were pulling in. Now it's nighttime. And they're like, oh, it's nighttime. The family's supposed to get there in the daytime. And I was like, fuck it. They got there at night. And they're like, well, the scene where they arrived, it's light outside. I'm like, then it's the next morning. I don't know. Like, it's just, whatever. So then we pull in again. I jump out, like, out of the car. And when I jump out of the car, my stomach falls out. And I just continued with this scene. So, like, this whole, like, trash bag of clothes like falls out of my dress, and I was like, oh golly, what's going on, Uncle Flea? Because he hit the mailbox, and everyone's just watching like
A train wreck.
what is going on? And then my cousin forgets his line, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. So what's so funny is my cousin who plays Joe, he's there for when we get there, and I told him, I was like, what would be better, Austin? Just say nothing. And everyone's like, why is he here? I said, it's funny. It's an artistic choice.
No, boy.
Like, he says nothing, and that's the funny part, is that he's just that awkward boyfriend. It's like, where the fuck am I? Why is this family crazy? And they're like, okay, yeah, that works. And then so I'm like, just every scene he'll just be making expressions. And everyone's like, okay, that's cool, that works. Well, we lost Austin after that day, and he never came back. So we were like up at night trying to figure out, like, can we just say he went to get bread or some shit? And I'm like, how am I gonna like work that into something? Like,
Right.
is anyone ever gonna be like, hey, where's Joe at? And I'll just be like, he went to get bread like a week ago. So he's in like one scene, which I cannot cut him out of because it's a big like wide shot, and he's just there. And also we had to like have our arms like around each other because I'm like presenting him to my grandfather, and he's just like, we're just very stiff, and we're supposed to be like really in love, and I'm like, dude, this is not working. Like, this is my cousin, bro.
Right.
And I mean, that was super fucking weird because I mean, I was not expecting to like play another role, and especially like the role of like the prissy girly girl, which is not me. So I mean, I feel like I did my grunge roles pretty well and triggered, but this one I'm like having to get my hair up in like curls and stuff, and like I miss my unnatural hair colors, and now you can already see my blonde coming back in. This is like $7 like box dye, and I would literally have a picture of myself walking around. I don't know if the towel's on my head in those pictures, but I have a towel on my head, and I'm in a dress that has fake blood all over it because it was the only thing I could get dye on, and I'm literally like directing with like a dye all over my fucking face, and I mean, I just look like an idiot, and nobody knew what was going on either because I forgot to tell people like why I did that. I only told a few people, so
Right.
everyone's just like kind of looking at me, and they're like, why did she just come out here in a bloody dress with a giant towel like on her head and no shoes? And I just like I don't know, like I forget that like people aren't always in the loop, so I just start like, all right, let's set up
Yeah.
for the next shot. And then I took the towel off and I had brown hair, and everyone's like, so you just decided to dye your hair while you're supposed to be directing? Wait, I'm also
Just wait.
playing a
This
role.
is going somewhere.
And yes, and everyone's, and it turns out like I don't know why I didn't think of this, but like I really liked this character that I had written. I really liked her, and I knew that I did not do her the way I wanted to do her, but then someone was like, well, she's not really like as important as some of these other characters. Why don't we just like, why didn't you just cut her out? And I was like, I don't know. Why didn't I? Like that was just something I should have totally done because then I would have more like time to do other shit. And for some reason, I like
You
prioritized
got
this
attached to the
extra.
character.
I did, and that's like something I need to like get better at because I do that like all the time. It's like I get like attached to characters and stuff, and I have to like because sometimes you can combine characters, like you
Sure.
just take two personalities and merge them into one and give another character lines. Like I had to do that for some stuff with this one, but yeah, that was a challenge having to do that as well, and then working with kids who weren't experienced,
Yeah.
even though he did a really good job. I also worked with his little brother who was like 4, and we had to do like the scene where the kid gets hit by a tractor, and Zach was really nervous to do that because he's like, well, this is like stunt stuff. And I was like, well, we can just do it where the kid's not really even by the tractor. We'll just we'll cut like back and forth and do the eye lines right and everything. And I told the kid to look scared and like a POV shot. And every time I told him to look scared, he's like, I'm like, that's not scary. You're not scared. You're about to get hit by a tractor. And he just smiles real big. He's like, and I was like, no, like you're scared, like you're screaming. He's like, ah. I'm like, okay, well, you're 4. What are you gonna do? He's cute, and Zach just was so worried about this tractor, and I didn't know. I'm like, dude, who cares? No one's died from a tractor from the 1950s, and then it's like 2 days before we wrap, and the farmer's like, how'd you guys do with that tractor? I was like, pretty good, and he was like, yeah, and he was like, once I got it from that auction, I thought it was pretty cool, collectible. I didn't think I'd ever use it again. And he's like, I feel bad for the guy that died on it though. I'm like, you're kidding, right? He was like, no. He's like, I thought
That's
I
funny.
told you. He's like, this guy who had the tractor before
That's
me.
that's the line. I thought I told you.
That happened so many
You
times.
should get a
and
T-shirt with that.
I thought I told you.
That was me at the end when everyone's like, so wait, the the pay is like deferred. I was like, I thought I told you. No,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just
right.
kidding. I mean, I told everybody that.
That
I
should be
paid
the
like,
tagline.
yeah.
Halberd, I thought I told you.
I'm like, this was my plan to get you out in the middle of the woods, and now you can't escape.
Right.
And
Fine.
now you have to finish the project. No, but
So you happy with everything, the way everything came out, and
I think so. I haven't really looked at the footage yet because it's been like a week and a half,
Mhm.
and so I haven't transferred everything over. But I did like I actually had a monitor when I did this and last time I did a film, I didn't have a monitor. I could
Yeah.
just look at the camera. So like
Mhm.
seeing it on a monitor, and also we had 4 people back there looking for continuity problems.
Right.
So that was good. And we also had like the sound mixer had it. Like it's like the app, you can connect it to your phone
Right.
too. And so he could also see like shadows. So it was good to like have other people like monitoring that stuff and the continuity and
Mhm.
everything. So I feel like we only like fucked up continuity maybe like one time, and it was like with a green fucking necklace that was going on. I mean, it was kind of funny because we did screw up a few times, and it was my fault and stuff. But I fixed them where like a character's like they're constantly like putting clothes on in front of the camera. I'm like, okay, now we need a pickup shot of Meredith putting her fur coat on, because in the next shot she's got. So we would have to do that stuff, and my lead was like joking around. She's like, what if like every transition is just a character putting a
Putting
jacket
new
on or
stuff
taking
on.
it off? Or we even have one where she's like adjusting her necklace because the next shot it's gone, and she like makes it. She says something about that. So that was like, I mean, that's just like the classic way to fix that
Mhm.
shit is to integrate that into dialogue where they're just
Yeah.
putting their hair up completely different. And I mean, it's hard to monitor though when you're doing so much.
Oh
So.
yeah, absolutely. That's
Mhm.
why you have like producers and second ADs
Right.
and AP. So, um, what camera did he use? Did he use his Black Magic?
Yeah, Blackmagic 4K.
And with the monitors, what app program did you know?
It was God, what is it called? It Hollyview? Hollyview. Was that Hollyland?
Hollyland. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
And
Hollyland.
then
Yeah,
Hollyview was
those
like
are
the
good.
app. Yeah.
That was the one we were looking at for.
Is it like a Bluetooth?
No, the one we were looking at where it was those HDMI's like
Oh yeah,
like
the ones you
with
got.
the antenna.
They
Yeah.
have their own Wi-Fi, so that's cool because we didn't have that out there.
Mhm.
So we were able to like connect that.
I have that with that camera.
Hmm.
It's the Panasonic. They have an app for it, and but the Blackmagic, I don't know. Well, I guess you hooked it up to the Hollyland app
Mhm.
or whatever, so you'd be able to multiple monitors.
Yeah, yeah. We had like an iPad for like the monitor because I don't know. I think I was supposed to like rent one from the gaffers, and then I like forgot about it, and so they just brought their iPad.
Hmm.
And then I told them, I was like, I have a monitor. I'll bring it tomorrow. And it was like my aunt's like flat screen TV. And then they were like, just use ours. So they were pretty cool about that because they let me like watch their monitor. I felt like such an amateur though because I'm like all in their corner, and I could tell like it's so funny like gaffers like I've never seen 2 people more passionate about light bulbs in my life. Like they came in like attached at the hip. They're like the same height. They're like a pair of binoculars and all black, and they're like looking around. They're like light there, there's an outlet there, there's one there, and they just collect all these lamps in a big pile. And they're like so focused, and they're just like looking at all these lamps. And then they went to like the Home Depot or whatever that was up there, and they were so excited to like show me the light bulbs that they brought back. It was just so funny. They're like, oh, they have such a big selection of everything, and it was so funny because I was like, it's great to have people who are like passionate about it. And so I
Mhm.
know a lot of gaffers just do it because they know how to,
Yeah.
Right.
but it's not like their main thing that they do. But yeah, they were like super like into lights and territorial like over. I mean, that's how all crew members are. Like everyone like had like their own corner, and everyone would like freak out if anyone trespassed over their shit. Like it was funny because the DP like Zach and Gaffers ended up getting along really well, but I could tell there's a bit of tension at the beginning over a card table that was going back and forth from
Mhm.
camera room to lighting room, and they wanted it for their equipment. And Zach had claimed it. I didn't realize it because I didn't think that the note that said camera department meant anything, so I just ripped it off. And I was like, you guys need a table? And they're like, yeah, bring it in here. And I brought the table in there, and they start putting their shit on it. And I don't know. I don't think sometimes. I got ADHD, whatever. I put all Zach's shit on like an old desk. And he walks in, like literally didn't cross my mind that he took that table. I was just like, oh, Zach put his shit here. I'm going to move it. So he comes in and he's like, where's my like department table, man? And I was like, oh, the lighting team needed it. He's like, dude, I need that for my stuff. And I was like, oh, well, get it back. They're already putting their shit on there, and he's like going in. He's like, "Hey, I kind of need that table." And they're like, "Well, we need this table," and and then he's like, "I know, but I got more stuff." They're like, "I got stuff too," and they're like going back and forth. And then I see the card tables going back in the camera department room, and the gaffers are pacing back and forth. And I was like, "You guys need another like table?" And they're like, oh, it's fine. And I was like, this shit needs like these things need reality shows because it's so much better than like the Kardashians or some shit. Like
Right.
this
Yeah.
is the drama and it's fucking hilarious. It's like, and it wasn't like any like petty shit, but you could tell like they were like, I want the fucking card table. And the makeup artist was eyeing that too. I was like, that's what I need. She's like, is anyone using that card table? There's also like a mysterious stain on that one too. We found that in the
Oh,
closet
jeez.
somewhere. So we just used furniture like that was already there. And then we had this I don't know if I told you guys on the podcast before, but I like ordered an actual corpse of a deer online.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up using that. And the effects artist got really busy because of Halloween, so he literally drove up to North Carolina for one day to drop off this deer in a bucket of blood, and then he took off. And I mean, it was it was funny because he showed the art department how to do it and how to do everything, and he also brought us like a bloody arm and shit. So we just had like this deer corpse, and then another corpse that I had of like a ferret squirrel thing that I also got online, like on the makeup artist's desk. So cast members are like going in to get their makeup done, and there's like a dead deer like just on the desk, and everyone just thought that Carl, the effects artist, made it, and they were like, "Wow, he's really good." And I was like, "No, this is a real dead deer," and so that was like something strange that we had on set, and I mean it was pretty dope, but also it was like $300 for that thing, and we used it for like a 6-second shot.
Along with the other, Indian burial ground, you got fake dead deer, and
I
well, real
know.
dead deer, but that's
Coat spines.
Yeah, now I have this thing in my car now.
bones.
I don't know what to do with it. I brought it to my work Halloween party and tried to auction it off to a bunch of stoners.
The dead deer.
Yeah, I was like, they all know I make films, but we try to prank one of my coworkers and we threw the deer on the apartment floor. My friend was like throwing this party, and we all like hid in the room, and we were gonna have him walk in and just see the deer laying there, and then have my friend come out with or my boyfriend come out with a knife and a Jason mask, and then he walks in and he's like, Mace, is this your prop? And I'm like, come on, man. Like they already know that I have weird shit like that. But then he brought his friends in, and they're like, dude, where the fuck do you get this? They're all like putting it on their like Snapchat and stuff, and then I try to auction it off. So I was like, how much would you guys pay for this? Someone said 4 million, but he was like on drugs. And
Yeah.
and then the highest like offer I got was $40, and I was considering it, considering my financial situation, but I was like, no, this is too good of a corpse to sell for $40. Like it's in great condition.
Did
So
you do an Indiegogo or anything like that?
I did, and it flopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one running right now. It sucks. Yeah.
I mean, you could sell that stuff on the Indiegogo.
Mhm.
Just make it like
As a
a
prop.
really weird like rewards. Like
Well, yeah, they've been trying to auction off my head for fucking
Yeah, we sell
movies.
props and dirty underwear, all kinds of stuff.
dude,
Yeah.
I got a whole basket of dirty underwear. If that's what it takes
It's funny
to get my
'cause-
Indiegogo to work. Then
Because we have this girl Sushi that's like in all our movies, and when her scenes are done, she just takes her panties off and gives them to Sean, and he puts
Yeah.
them in a baggie, and
Yeah.
we auction it off, and we usually get like $200 for
you
them.
kidding me?
I don't,
Yeah,
I'm not even. But
I know it.
So
And I'm just
weird.
kind of like,
Who the fuck do
Who
you
these
sell
people
that to? Where do you
do?
find
we
these?
I
put them
mean-
on our Indiegogo.
You do not
Yeah.
really.
yeah,
Hell, bro,
They always sell.
Start.
Always.
that's hilarious.
I
Yeah.
mean, they have like Patreons just for
So
that.
you
Yep.
guys can
They
either
have.
get a copy of my script signed by me or my dirty underwear. Come on, I know it's
There
a
you
tough
go.
choice. Or you get both. It's a package deal.
There you go.
You know?
I mean, you probably get a buyer then.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll
this
get
is
a
the
buyer.
underwear I wrote while I wrote the script. What do you want? Like I could do that.
Yeah.
I could, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got this deer. I got all kinds of like weird shit that I don't need, and
Oh yeah, sell
like,
that
yeah.
stuff. Sell that stuff on.
Yeah. Put it on your Indiegogo.
I'm just bad at marketing. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. I'm like, I so badly just want to be like, oh, I'm just a little girl and everybody's sexist. Can you please donate to me? Like, but that's not true, so I can't do that. I could always
You're
use
like, I need money.
Yeah.
It's money.
I could just be like, I could just claim that like I'm a minority filmmaker who's been, the men have been very condescending to me in the industry, and if you'd like to support my my dream. But no, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that because I know a lot of women take that route and it's smart for some they're very tasteful about it.
Yeah.
But also
They also
like
play the part. They also play that part.
but then I feel like then you're putting yourself in like a box where like then that's just how people are gonna think of you and that they're gonna be
Yeah.
afraid to work with you because they don't want to be like accused of something or
Right.
thought of a certain
Oh
way.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But so what's next? What's next on your? So you're going into editing soon,
Yeah.
and when do you plan on for a release?
Probably. I mean, I edit pretty quickly because I really like to edit, so I do it pretty fast. I don't like rush through it, but I mean, I would say probably like February, something like that.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because it's not as long as I had originally written it, and I'm glad. I mean, I think it would probably be like an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. Once I like make all the cuts that I need to make.
That's how we were on Delta Pi. We were like, we had a restriction on a location for a certain period of time, and I'm shooting, and Sean's just got the script. He's like, "That's cut.
Yeah.
That's cut. That's cut."
Yep, that's how
It's
my
like
AD was.
we cut probably like half the script out of
Yeah.
that movie,
We had
and
to
it's
do that.
still like an hour 25, I think, hour 30.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
it's
mean, I'm
crazy.
glad. I'm glad that we did that, and it became more of a comedy than I thought it would be. Like there was like I did weird shit in there. Like every picture on the wall is crooked, and there's just things like the house is just dysfunctional, and the decor is really weird and stuff. And I mean, I like it like that. I think I based everyone in the family off of one of my family members. I took their toxic traits and just, I mean, times that by 10 and just made them this like really fucked up weird family. And yeah, I mean it's cool. I definitely have my own like aesthetic with it. I don't know if it's even gonna come off creepy. I hope it does because I tried to not use the kid as much and make that more like it's weird when you have comedy and horror because it's just really they're really too like they contrast too much and it might be difficult to pull that off. But that's why I didn't do it like slapstick or anything. It's just very like low key. Like it's more just about like the family and how I guess egotistical they are and stuff, but that's also kind of just like the comedy within it is it's all they're all hypocrites pretty much.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's all on how you tell the story.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thriller, dry comedy thing. So it's weird. I'm curious to see like what direction I can go with the genre, like classifying that. So
I don't think Chris ever has that question.
like
We already know what he's
naked gore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boobs and gore.
Gory and nudity
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
and
that.
fun.
I mean, it's a niche.
Make it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Mace Walker, thank you for joining us this week on
Thank you,
Killer
guys.
Collab Podcast. Thank you for joining us again for the third time. That's three, right? Yeah, three
Yes.
times. 3 times. Chris Lano, Reaper Films. My name is Tony D. Thank you guys for joining us, Killer Collab Podcast. See you next week.